M1, M1 Pro, M1 Max. In 2021, the 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro was the most powerful computer sold by Apple. It was also one of the most expensive. 5 years later though, I just picked this one up for $1,000. So is it worth buying versus Apple's latest and greatest offerings? Well, as you'd expect in a machine at this price point, the processor is still more than capable. It's a 10-core chip with 8 performance cores running at full speed and 2 lower clocked efficiency ones. M1 Max is starting to show its age a bit in single-core workloads, with M4 Max now a decent 65% ahead in benchmarks. But multi-core performance is where this thing really still shines. Its score in Geekbench 6 is close to the still current M4 Mac Mini and 23-4's M3 Pro in the multi-core test. Multi-core performance is hugely helpful when it comes to running creative apps like the Adobe Suite. Video editing, for example, is an area the M1 Max MacBook Pro excels in. As you can see, Final Cut Pro runs close to perfectly on this laptop, even though I'm editing 4K footage without proxying enabled. 20 years ago, this would have been virtually impossible, by the way. Big win still in the CPU department. Of course, with the release of M5 Max, the latest chips from Apple are around twice as good by some metrics. As far as I'm concerned, M1 Max is still very capable, and I won't be looking for anything more powerful yet, simply because I edit in 1080p, which this thing handles like a light breeze. Let's not forget, those computers are also twice the price. I'll dive deeper into performance in just a minute, but I want to highlight the physical design of this laptop first. This 16-inch display is virtually the same as what you'd get on an M4 Max MacBook Pro still sold new in 2026. It's an absolutely stunning 3456 by 2234 mini LED panel running at up to 120Hz. As far as I'm concerned, this is still among the greatest laptop displays money can buy, and getting it bundled with the already brilliant M1 Max system is a bargain people don't always fully consider. The 6-speaker sound system on board is also best in class, and still a fair bit better than what most, if not all, Windows laptops come with right now. It's hard to describe without showing you in person, but there's some pretty impressive bass there, while the range of audible frequencies remains clear and wide. It's like you're wearing a pair of loosely fitting headphones if you're close enough. Top marks once again. 2021 MacBooks were the first to come with DDR5 memory. The M1 Max has 32GB at minimum, with a 64GB option also available. It's what Apple calls unified memory. This means that those 32GB are shared across all aspects of the SoC. The graphics chip, for example, will take a significant portion of the memory if you open a game, so even though 32GB sounds like a lot, it won't go unused. You already know the memory is non-user replaceable on this thing, but I'll tell you anyway. You will not be upgrading this laptop in any way after you buy it. That is the last thing Apple need if they're going to hit a 4 trillion market cap before this year is out. Come on, guys. Historically, the larger MacBook Pros have been the most graphically capable, with the 16-inch models the right choice for gaming, rendering 3D designs, and running other GPU-dependent software. The 16-inch M1 Max is no different. The graphics chip is of course built into the M1 Max SoC. It's got 24 or 32 cores, and as I mentioned, shares unified memory with the entire system. This one here is the top-tier 32-core version. It's fast, there's no doubt about it, but what does a 32-core GPU mean in the real world? Well, it's safe to roughly compare this model with a desktop RTX 2080. That is really impressive if you ask me. If you can be bothered to run VM software like Parallels, it's very capable of playing modern games at very decent frame rates, despite needing to translate them to run on the ARM SoC. Of course, it's quite a bargain buy if you're into CAD or other sorts of 3D designs. Computers with strong GPUs don't come cheap, so I can wholly recommend this if you need something of that ilk. The PCI Express-based storage is unfortunately soldered on this MacBook too, although the higher tier model here starts with 1TB at minimum. It's possible to get these with up to 8TB, but frankly, I just go for the base spec and then expand with external drives if necessary. It's never a good idea to rely on a single storage device in case of failure. Drive speeds on this thing are well above 5,000 megabytes per second read and write. Numbers and on-paper features aside though, what's this thing really like to use in 2026? I'll come back to that in a second after a quick word about today's video sponsor, TomTalk. I've always said laptop sleeves are a far better option than cases if you want to keep your Mac looking brand new for years to come. and Tomtoc have a long history of creating sleeves of the highest quality. Their new Essence series combines a super slim design with their reliable corner armor technology, so you can keep your laptop safe wherever you go without worrying about extra weight. These designs each have a handle on the side too, which is surprisingly useful if you're walking somewhere. There's no need to carry your MacBook under your arm anymore. Frankly, I put a lot of trust in laptop sleeves. MacBooks like the M1 Max I'm covering today are often worth thousands of dollars after all, but Tomtoc's accessories have always been rock solid for me. Their sleeves are pretty foolproof, to be honest. They offer 360-degree protection and even have extra padding in the corners to prevent damage from drops and hard surfaces. I'm a big fan of the Essence A34 as it's got 4 extra pockets on the front where you can put things like charging cables and extra storage drives. If you usually carry your sleeve inside a backpack, the Essence A35 would be a perfect choice. These are products that feel well built, and I'm very happy to say Tomtoc sleeves are made using recycled materials. So if you've got a MacBook you want to keep safe from future damage, I'd highly recommend checking them out using the link in the description down below. Tomtoc sleeves are made specifically for MacBooks, so you can choose one that fits your model perfectly. Okay, back to the M1 Max, and I will say the first thing I notice about this every time I pick it up is the weight. This is far heavier than any of the MacBook Airs, and it's a lot thicker too. If you can make do with a smaller screen and weaker GPU, it's definitely worth trying a MacBook Air out first. Carrying the 16-inch Pro around all the time takes its toll after a while. Of course, if you're working from home most of the time, it's a truly incredible screen worth having, so do take my complaints with a grain of salt since you may not have to move around quite so much. I'm on the fence about the 120Hz ProMotion display. It goes without saying this screen looks far smoother than anything limited to 60Hz, and it's pretty cool to watch macOS's animations run across the 16-inch screen. But beyond the appeal of how it looks kind of cool, it's hard to identify a huge number of benefits. My job on this MacBook Pro is video editing, with a fair bit of Photoshop here and there. I don't edit anything above 60 FPS ever, and frankly Photoshop is already pretty perfect at 60Hz. Of course, there's the fact that you get a much faster response when you click, and that does feel good. If anything, the screen is just the icing on the cake with this computer. Paid at least $1,000 you have, so enjoy the highest end screen possible you must. I can't help but compare M1 Max to the chips Apple has brought out in the years after 2021 though. Single core performance has jumped significantly, especially since M4 dropped in 2024. If you're going to be using this for web browsing and running music apps or photo-based stuff, I'd definitely consider something like an M4 Pro machine instead. Perhaps even a Mac Mini if you're based in one place. This chip is reported to peak at 3.2 GHz, which is fine, but a fair bit behind M4 Pro's 4.5 and now M5 Pro's 4.6. Let's not forget either, software support has been perfect so far, and I'm sure there's a good run of updates coming to this thing until around 2030, but M4 and 5 MacBooks can all but guarantee support for another 6 to 9 years. That's a pretty big difference if you want to be making a long-term purchase at this stage. I think one quote in particular sums up the M1 Max perfectly in 2026. Actually, I've forgotten the exact words, but it's something along the lines of this. Buy the last generation equipment that used to be the best in the world. You get the second best thing that's still old enough to be cheap. $1,000 is a steal for this much computer, so I absolutely do recommend the 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro in 2026. Thank you very much for watching. Liking and subscribing really helps if you've got a second, and if you really like what I do, you can contribute financially using the link in the description below. Okay, thanks for watching, see you later.